right. Looks like we got a few people watching the live already. We're about ready to roll here.
Oh, yeah, well.
Hello! Hello, everyone.
Oh, I gotta change my name. Who?
yeah,
we're gonna all forget who
Ganda.
this is.
Oh my
What?
goodness. How did you forget?
Terrible hosting, Jessica.
Welcome to the Rough Report. This is Jimmy Ruffian reporting live from Ottawa with Nat and Jessica over there in Hamilton. Yeah. Oh,
I thought I did that when I touched my
microphone. I was supposed to have the fade out thing checked. Jeez. All right, we already got some commenters in the thing.
Hey, Ted.
Hey there.
Hey, Dusty Butts.
Hey, everyone. Dusty Butts is here.
Sorry, it's just the profile picture next to Dusty Butts.
I know, you look so professional, and he's called Dusty
I'm
Butts.
a professional Dusty Butt, I beg your pardon.
If I didn't know any better, I'd be like, that's a bot. Like,
No, Dusty Butts is very real. He is Comrade Sean, and he's been doing a lot more like TikTok live panels, probably touching on a lot of the same subject we're going to be talking about today. It's a very loosey-goosey subject. I'm interested in how the flow of this conversation may lead us. Like recently I put out a call out on social media to basically be like, hey, do you consider yourself somewhat apolitical or kind of detached from politics? You don't really quite know what's going on. I mean, maybe you vote, but maybe you don't know some of the finer details, the ins and outs, a lot of the terminology that you hear. I wanted to kind of get into like an educational sort of thing and be nice to those people too, like exactly. Focus is education.
Idiot.
If you come on here and start saying really fascistic stuff, of course you're going to get some pushback. But I want the more kind of centrist liberal people to feel a little more relaxed about speaking their mind and maybe being a little bit ignorant, so we can say, hey, this is an opportunity to maybe expand your view. And I think this is sort of going to be a soft launch into that, because I think one of the most important aspects to understand about when you're getting into this stuff is propaganda. It's such a big word. A lot of people, I don't think, fully understand what the scope of that means. Because there's different kinds of propaganda,
and we talked at length about being so propagandized that some things seem normal and okay, but it's only normal because it's propaganda.
And when you learn about it, like in school, it's mostly from the perspective of like, in the past, this was the propaganda.
Yeah. It's always like propaganda is something that used to happen. That's kind of how you get it in like public school, right?
Or at least that's how I got it. Like, I can't say about like the kids today what they're learning. I don't fucking know. Anyone can correct me.
Yeah, no. Luckily, like my son is really into history, but he sees parallels. And I'm like, that's good. You should see parallels.
I mean, I'm sorry you see parallels. This is an awful timeline.
I mean, us humans tend to be pretty good at pattern recognition, but the problem with being good at pattern recognition
is you get sad.
You can get sad. But also, your ability to recognize patterns can be used against you. And that is also another example of propaganda. I think like a good example we can start with is something that's very prescient in the news right now, everything that's going on in the Middle East, and has been for the past number of years. Say like since things really picked up in terms of the genocide in Gaza, kind of launching October 7th.
You get sad that my life. I know. I went to high school with Sherry, so I invited her.
Oh, yeah, nice. Nice to have you here, Sherry. And, that fateful day, October 7th, that was used as this big like launching point for leveling Gaza. Now, mind you, the problem there has been going on for 75 some odd years.
Yes.
But, as we presently know and understand the current situation, it kind of kicked off at that point. And, saying, in a manner of speaking, if you're not careful, saying it kicked off October 7th is propaganda in itself, because it makes it sound like this thing that just started that day.
Sure.
And then, kind of rewinding beyond that, how Israeli propaganda works, how Zionist propaganda works, and how it can be manipulated to, say, drive someone towards anti-Semitism.
But also how the abundance of anti-Arab propaganda in basically like Hollywood and U.S. media, basically westernized media, how that plays into all of that.
Well,
So just
and
like
Zionism in the media as well, like,
Yeah.
it's, like, all together. Like, I was just gonna say, Jocelyn Alice, musician, host of the Mind Your Idols podcast on TikTok, she started this whole thing where she's posting just clips of all the times Israel is mentioned in any Western show.
Yeah.
And it's like Gilmore Girls and like, just really popular television. And it's just like, the Israel situation is so complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think, like, I always think of that clip of Michael Brooks. I almost wish I had it pulled up, because it perfectly addresses what you're saying. In fact, you know what? Maybe I should try and
Do it. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
let's watch as you pull it out of your butt live.
Yeah. Okay. So Michael Brooks, late great Michael Brooks, he passed away a few years ago at the early age of 37.
2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 2020. Yeah. He was a few years older than myself, so he would be in his 40s by now if he were still with us. So he was what I consider to be like one of the most brilliant political podcasters of his time, and he would have only become bigger and better had he been still with us. But he was one of the, like, when I was sort of ignorant on this subject of like what's going on in the Middle East entirely, and its complications and convolutions and things like that, he kind of cleared the air a lot for me, and this is such a strong example of it.
He did for me. He's the reason I found Sam Cedar.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like,
I
okay.
actually found Sam Cedar first, but that led me to my So he this is him just like at a talk, taking a Q&A, and it goes on for a few minutes, but I hope to get to like the really important part here. But the key word being, when you say it's complicated. It's complicated. And that is a form of propaganda in itself, to say that it's complicated. So let's hear what here, I'm gonna get the screen pulled up here.
The late and great.
Yeah, there he is, the man
Rest
himself.
in power.
My first question, it says on your Twitter that you're Jewish. Am I getting this right?
No. Great way to open this question.
Is it the right Twitter?
On my Twitter bio, it says I'm Jewish.
No, but like in your tweets. I don't want to be wrong.
I have Jewish background. I'm just trying to think of.
So as someone with a Jewish background,
yes,
how do you feel about Bernie's plan for Israel, especially as someone concerned with foreign policy?
I love it. It's absolutely necessary. My Jewish values teach me to oppose apartheid.
So, and
it's so easy.
Yeah. He just cuts through it so easy. And also another thing that I want to get into, because it's actually caused like, this is sort of a side point to what he's saying. Michael Brooks was a big Bernie guy, but he was also a very strong, outspoken socialist, communist, like was very unforgiving on that, but he was also a big Bernie guy. And me being kind of in support of Bernie consistently all these years has landed me in some hot water with communists and my fellow comrades and things like that, for both reasons I understand, and for also reasons that I believe to be propaganda. Like, is Bernie Sanders a full-on commie? No.
Is anybody?
Is anybody? Well, yeah, you could purity test till the cows come home, right?
Yeah.
But like, no, I wouldn't say so. But I think he is an extremely positive force in the present politic for what socialist and communist.
And he has a name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you can't like I don't like there's someone I could probably support that meets me 99% of the time, but they're a nobody.
Yeah.
And could you describe Bernie Sanders as a soft Zionist in the way he has presented himself in a lot of the language?
100.
Absolutely, because he does seem to say, he said things like Israel has a right to defend itself, which I think was a poor choice of words for him to say. But also he does ultimately believe that Israel should exist, but also under much different conditions than it presently does. Like such
But
as
so did Biden, but I want them to have free healthcare. So
and things like that. And he is presently, like Bernie is also presently like the only major figure in Western politics that is constantly talking about class divide and oligarchy and money in politics. And I think that is a point that needs to be emphasized and focused on. Right.
It's just unfortunately he's also 197 years old. And
he's definitely not the guy he used to be. And I think like something they said at the Majority Report not that long ago, like maybe a couple of years, like soon after October 7th, is like they were criticizing Bernie for seemingly having this soft language about Zionism. But as they pointed out, I think it was Matt Leck on that show who said, it's obvious he's trying to be some sort of like backroom broker where he doesn't want to say anything too strong as to scare off or discourage the people he is trying to negotiate with. So there's certain things he's trying to put on a public face about and not say and not stir the pot in certain directions, because his ultimate goal is to calm down the situation in Israel, not to necessarily end it, but he certainly wants to end the apartheid and things like that, which is a positive thing. Is it as a anti-Zionist, would you consider it enough? Maybe not necessarily, but what he is saying and doing is very important because he's one of the few people that's actually doing it.
Plus, that's politics.
And that's
when
politics.
we say
That's
someone
the game,
is good at
unfortunately.
politics, that's what we mean.
Yeah.
They know when to say
as Matt
something
Leck
and to
said,
not.
he's like, if he wants to be this backroom deal broker, that's great, but there's certain things he should not say in public because it is discouraging to the movement, such as saying Israel has a right to defend itself. It's like, I'll criticize him for saying that because I think that's just a bad slogan that it's an example of propaganda that people latch onto in a very negative way.
Because it sounds reasonable on its face.
Exactly.
But that it does
really,
so much. It does
really
so much heavy lifting to put all the dirt under the carpet.
Defend
actually, in one of the panels,
and to what end?
Yeah, in one of the panels I was with Sean in last week there, I remember there was somebody in the comments because I had brought up Bernie in some capacity and speaking positively of him, and somebody said, well, I'll never support a Zionist. Somebody was taking a strong, I'll never support somebody who supports Zionism, blah 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 blah. And it's like, that's I think an example of how propaganda can work against us on the left, because it's like, yes, of course you don't want to support Zionism, but you do want to support pretty much everything else Bernie is saying. Right. And that, but, I understand Zionism being a hard line for some people, but, that's kind of the negative thing against Bernie. He's like one of the only people that does not, one of two or three major American politicians that has taken zero money from AIPAC, like the Israeli lobby. I think that really means something, you know? And so, and that might influence, say, Israeli propaganda to throw things out there about him to try and divide the left. And I think you should be maybe a little suspicious of that, especially when, if you are familiar with Brooks and everything he says and his sense of Bernie and his strategy around what Bernie does, I think is very clear-minded and good. But anyway, we're going to continue.
Okay.
Okay.
You elaborate, please?
I mean, there really isn't that much to elaborate on. I mean, Has anybody ever been not only to Israel but also to the?
Yeah.
Have you been to? Have you been to the West Bank? Have you been to Gaza? You went to Gaza. Oh, okay.
The border.
Well, I know people who've gone to Gaza. You could definitely go to Gaza.
Now, mind you, I think this video was from somewhere around like 2018.
Yeah.
So,
certainly
Gaza
not
was
post
bad. It was
yeah.
under apartheid, obviously, because they're talking about that. It's a bad situation there, but it wasn't the situation we know it of now.
Yeah.
So for me, my politics are built on a base of, economic justice and actually really like anti-racism, as in some ways as distinct from some of this sort of woke stuff in a way. But when I was already, I grew up, I was pretty connected to left politics. So I always knew growing up about the travesty that was the human rights situation there. And I knew that people I admired, like Nelson Mandela said, South Africa is going to not be properly free until the Palestinians are free. In 2006, I believe, I read a piece by a guy named Tony Judt in the New York Review of Books, who was a really important Jewish scholar. And he just said, the argument was that, literally this is childish. Like the idea that you have an ethno-state or a religious state, if you're committed to any type of broad-based social, economic equity and civil society, it doesn't work. No matter how justified, right? Of course there's justification because of Jewish history for Israel. There's justification for Kurdistan because of Kurdish reality. There's justification for Pakistan. It's notable that Israel and Pakistan are both disasters. Israel not in the sense of, look, if you're a European Jewish background, you have a nice life there. If you're not, you are, even inside 67 borders, not a fully equal citizen. And the situation in the West Bank is, it is literally Jim Crow-like, and Gaza is, it's just an atrocity. So that's not something that anybody could reasonably ask me to support. And I understand, there's some actions from some Palestinian groups that, we can condemn. In fact, those have not even really been in any way seriously in play since 2003. And when we talk about, look, and the apartheid word specifically is both used by people who were crucial in ending apartheid in South Africa, like Desmond Tutu or Ronnie Kasrils, who served as intelligence minister under Mbeki, who I've interviewed. And the other main people who use the apartheid word are Ehud Olmert and Ehud Barak. So it is what it is. And I don't support second-class citizenship and occupation and sieges for anybody, no matter who they are.
Are you not concerned about the binary between either condemning Israel entirely, being also a stance that a lot of very strong and notorious anti-Semitic people agree with, versus seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is.
See, this is the important part. This is the part of this answer I really wanted to highlight because it's so good and absolutely cuts through that whole narrative of, being anti-Zionist or anti-Israel and having that tied to anti-Semitism, which is definitely a type of propaganda Israel tries to use to its advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Anything
100%.
that is anti-Israeli is apparently anti-Jewish.
They try and make it
look
the
at
same thing, right?
Look at AIPAC's list of anti-Semitics of the year, and it was all pro-Palestinian people and Candace Owens.
These are not people, calling for the persecution of Jewish people. Like here you have a Jewish guy, pointing out how the apartheid is a legitimate problem. Is he, as a person of Jewish background, being anti-Semitic? Is that really the picture that they want to paint? Evidently it is, because the idea, I think, ultimately with that type of Israeli propaganda, which was really hot in the wake of October 7th there, where, they really wanted to discourage people from criticizing this and talking about this. And the sooner they could stomp that out and go, no, you should be afraid to speak up against this because people are going to call you anti-Semitic. And yeah, conflation is intentional. Absolutely.
And purposeful.
Yeah.
And useful.
But here
which
is
cool.
Michael Brooks, like just cutting right through it. I'm going to go back a little bit to get her question, but
you know, seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is wrong what's going on, and that there's also a way to do this that Israel still exists and is supported?
So it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. It's super simple. There's one group that has enormous power. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States. It acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. So there's no symmetry in the relationship, period. And just as like a thought experiment, IDW people, if we know that if somehow a population of Jewish refugees ended up in West Bank and Gaza, and an Arabic government in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv had an open air prison in what, Jewish Gaza, which they bombed with white phosphorus, they killed civilians indiscriminately, and they had no provisions for medicine. They had an embargo that blocked food, that electricity wasn't running, that there was an over 48% unemployment rate, life expectancy and malnutrition statistics were horrifying. One of the major policymakers in this hypothetical Arabic Palestinian state said, we need to put those Jews on a diet. In the West Bank, there was another Jewish area where there was a little bit more autonomy, but there was regular Arabic settlements where they pulled up the Jewish farmers' foods. They terrorized them with rocks. The security forces broke children's bones, and they couldn't drive their own roads. We'd all have no problem understanding what that was. So there's nothing complex about it. The second part of your question, it's a pure asymmetry relationship. And the question is rights or not. So that's it. It's not complicated. The second part of your question, at this point, there's always going to be crackpots who are anti-Semitic who condemn Israel. That's not what drives the movement, particularly in the United States. If you work around most people who are concerned with this issue, it's actually populated with a lot of Jewish people. The real question we have to ask is, why is it that AIPAC is hosting an information minister for Slobodan Milosevic? Why is it that there's relationships between the Israeli government and far-right parties in Europe? Why is it that Benjamin Netanyahu's son is posting borderline alt-right memes?
All pre-October 7th, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. This was a few years at least before that happened.
I want to add to the propaganda once we wrap this up. I have something I want people to think about. Go ahead.
Alt-right state, even though it is from the descendants of the victims of one of the greatest crimes in history. That's a serious question. And that's inseparable from the racism of the project, which goes back to the first part that we have to solve. But thank you. Shalom.
So
okay.
Like I said, I think he cuts through it so effectively there. What were you going to say, Nat?
So just in terms of just reading through the propaganda and trying to recognize this imbalance for what it is, I cannot think of any other country, maybe the US, kind of, where they are so proud of their fleet of snipers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look at all your media of was it not CSI, CSIS? Okay. Okay, I'm talking about TV shows specifically. NCIS.
NCIS.
NCIS, right?
Right,
so shows such as NCIS, or just like any shows where they're like, we have this person on our team who's part of the elite Israeli task force, and they're a sniper, and like that's very relevant to the where else would we just, without considering, what do you mean sniper? Right? Like, if we were proud of the snipers on the Canadian border into the US, just picking off citizens.
Yeah.
If there were like snipers, on any of the European borders, let's say, honestly, I'm forgetting who borders what right now. You could put a map in front of me and I don't know, those guys.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm terrible
can
at
you think of like any other example just like thinking deeply of like how propagandized we are, so this doesn't even register anymore, that Israeli snipers from the IDF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
IOF. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Because
IOF,
like,
yeah.
sorry, it's been a big work
IDF
day.
stands for
I work in
the,
tech, and like
Israeli
all the
Defense
acronyms
Forces.
going through my head,
I take
I'm like,
IDF. I don't care. I was just fucking around.
Yeah.
like I've got so many acronyms going through my head today from work, from IT, and
Yeah.
like I am just like I'm hanging by a thread. But anyways, this thread, I'm just trying to say that like the propaganda is so deep that we don't even really think about and deconstruct. What do you mean that like your best soldiers are snipers? Who would need that? Who are they sniping?
Okay.
And from where?
Going
Into
off
oops.
of that is literally when they try to liberalize it, and they're like, "We have the best female
literally.
pilots."
Yeah.
And it's like, if you just
the co-opting of like identity politics and liberal politics.
Yeah.
In fact, that kind of goes back to
Girl
something
boss thing.
Michael was saying there.
I girl
'Cause,
boss my
Michael
war
at the beginning
crimes.
there, like where he was talking about like his body of politics, and saying, well, it's like a lot of where I come from is anti-racist, but not so much in the woke sense. What he meant by that and how the word was being woke was largely being used around this time was largely tied to the emphasis on identity politics. And he was one of the early people, as far as I could tell, that hotly questioned how we were using identity politics. And it was becoming dangerous in the sense of, well, because you are of this identity, you can't have an opinion, or you can have an opinion. Your opinion is automatically more relevant because of your identity and things like that. And he had a lot of criticism, very valid criticisms of that. Like, one of the best examples that I use is like,
I was gonna say Candace Owens.
Yeah.
A black woman.
Yeah, Candace Owens as
patriarchy,
a
like,
black
what?
woman, obviously saying and doing a lot of things
In the
that
US,
supported
no less.
white
Yeah.
supremacy. Or oh God, that I had a different example, but you kicked it out of my mind with Candace Owens, because that is a good example. That is a very good example. And yeah, so like, or what was I going to say? Oh yeah, whenever you hear of some kind of conflict, like Iran, for instance, and where they
Talking
go
about,
like,
women
oh well,
having
my
to thread.
family's from there, or I'm from there, or I used to live there, or I know what it's like there. And it's good that they killed the Ayatollah, and I'm happy that they did that, and that sort of thing. And it's just like, okay, like you're allowed to have that opinion, but saying like me as a Westerner who is largely detached from Iran, but familiar with the facts and the history of how U.S. invasions like this go. I think I can make the very strong and relevant point that, hey, man, I don't think this is going the way you think it's going to. Like, first of all, the Ayatollah has already been, they had someone step into his place already. Nothing has really changed on that front. And regime change throughout U.S. history, or their attempts at regime change throughout history, has always left countries worse for wear and with a worse leader in the wake of it. Right? So to say, like, well, I'm from there and I think him being taken out is good, and it's like saying, well, I'm from there, automatically elevates your opinion. And
I just always, my argument to that, my rebuttal is always just like, well, my tax dollars are going to it, I get an opinion. Like, I'm sorry, I'm relevant now. I'm relevant.
Well, yeah, there's that aspect of it, and there's also like the way I kind of generally turn that around and go, okay, MAGA people are from America. If I'm talking to a MAGA person as a Canadian and speaking against what their movement in perspective is my opinion less relevant because I'm not American, and that makes the MAGA opinion automatically more relevant because I'm Canadian, he's American, and that's my identity.
Like, in Canada, you can be like, yeah, I think Stephen Harper was the greatest thing that ever happened in Canada, and I will fight.
All the people with the F Trudeau stuff, the convoy are those people because they're from Canada. automatically have a more relevant opinion on what's going on with Canadian politics, because quite frankly, those people don't fucking know shit. They're completely misinformed.
They're all
They're
mad about
completely
provincial
propagandized.
issues.
like in Canadian politics, they're so propagandized. These kind of like that convoy people, that Canadian MAGA, you can almost say, they're so propaganda poisoned that they automatically hate Carney, even though Carney is just kind of like Stephen Harper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, and they're just, they see the red, they see the Liberal Party, and Maple MAGA.
Maple MAGA.
And they see that red color and that Liberal Party logo, and they automatically go, enemy. I hate this guy, even though a conservative doing the exact same things they would celebrate. You know,
literally, like the things that they were griping about was a fucking carbon tax, and the first thing he did was like get rid of it. And then people are just like, well,
he immediately caved on immigration as well. Like, I remember we were set to, in this community I'm living in right now, we were set to get those what do they call them, the sprung shelters, as temporarily housing for refugees. That was something that was going to happen. And even though there was a lot of pushback from conservative members of the community because they were propagandized against like brown people, all these single men from the Middle East are going to be the ones living in these shelters. Do you really want single men from the Middle East living in your neighborhood? These dangerous men. This was literally what these people were saying. It's just like, these are, and to me, it's just like, okay, sure, they could potentially be dangerous men as individuals, but they are still war-torn refugees who need a place to go, and we are part of why they need that place.
Also, I know a lot of like white single men that are also predators, and white married men that are also predators, and just like, come on.
Dusty here. I'm still trying to figure out what the elbows up is supposed to mean in practice, because what is it? I saw a pretty good joke. I think I made this joke to you, Sean, where it's just like elbows up, elbows down, elbows up. If he does it any faster, he's going to start floating. You know,
I think that's for chicken. Isn't that for chicken?
Oh, it's a chicken dance.
That's Mark Carney. Doing the chicken dance. What is it? Instead, you get men like my brother acting single and not one.
He's married.
He's acting single. Well, I feel like
he'll blame it on being Greek.
Juicy drama there. But
and like,
sorry,
one thing that like frustrates me about stuff like that is that they're all up in arms about like, oh, sprung shelters and the danger, and it's like, you can't even pretend that you're saying that we should take care of our own first. Because in Canada, you're literally fucking not. How are you taking care of our own in Canada? But also, when people get all up in arms about something like that, it makes it difficult to have like legitimate criticisms. Like, I didn't think the site made sense, just the way it was set up. And so I had concerns about like snow plowing and stuff. Because
like,
we're in Ottawa.
Like actual like realistic logistics of how it would work.
Just logistics of like a very snowy area and this particular site seemed like it would be a very big challenge to keep the snow clear because of like all these weird curbs and shit. Because these sprung shelters, they're not digging anything up. It's just kind of like, you know,
and well, like in regards to a lot of those like refugees tying into a lot of like what was just talked about in Israel and stuff, the anti-Muslim propaganda was such a strong part of this because that's really what it comes down to. When a lot of it is like being afraid of the brown people from Middle East, we know what
and that is
they tend to be in
and like actually right? People don't they know what religion they think they're assuming but they don't actually know, right?
I mean, it is a lot more complex. There are like, brown Christians in the Middle East, you know,
and also like a turban often means sick, right? And where people are just like, what the fuck is
they're
that?
Just like brown Muslim, same difference.
Right.
Like and I was gonna say, like, we talked about this last week about how all of this currently happening stems from 9/11. Like Like,
it's from before that.
it's from
though.
before that.
the whole,
But that's like that's the kickstart of like the severe anti-Brown that led to like kind of the rush of where we are now.
I mean, I wouldn't say the kick, like I would say ramping up, absolutely. But if you look at any media from like I'm gonna say 80s and 90s because like I can't I can't off the top think of stuff from before that, but I'm certain it's before that. For like I've said this before, from the 80s, Back to the Future, the bad guys were the Libyans. The assumption was that they're Muslim. Even in was it Young Ones TV show, they make a joke about like Libyan terrorists, right? And so
9/11 was the US's October 7th. It was happening for decades before, but this is what ramped it up.
Ooh.
Like that's.
I mean, like I think they saw how effective the U.S. was able to kind of like propagandize that event in order to give permission for war, give permission for bigotry and racism, and which led to the creation of ICE, which was largely created at its time to target Muslim and Middle Eastern peoples. Now Trump is using it to target pretty much everyone. That in general, and
I mean, it seems on the face of it, from what I've seen, it's like ICE is a very convenient for like the anti-South American, but then if South Americans, a lot of them have a shade of skin that is darker than white, and so like what a great excuse to
even
get
though it's so funny because
everybody.
like if white Americans, so to speak, understood the racial dynamics south of their border a little bit more, they would understand that in like Mexico, Cuba, all those places, those people would be considered white, like they are white Spanish, of European descent.
But then that's something that Cubans who go to America and vote for Trump, that's one thing that they don't quite get, is that you're not seen as
like
white.
whiteness is not what
in your
you
mind,
are,
you're a
it's
white
what you
Cuban,
aren't.
but once you go into America, as
it's
far
the,
as white supremacy
it's the
is
takeaway of
concerned,
something. That's why it's like white can always be like construed like in the
Oh, yeah,
States,
you
had
can
the
shift
one
those
drop rule.
goalposts.
It's like it doesn't matter if you look white, your
Yeah.
whiteness can be just whatever we decide it is at that moment.
Yeah. Well, and that's the convenient thing about a type of propaganda like constructing whiteness. It was so effective against trying to promote slavery, trying to promote the suppression of Black people. Now that they're no longer slaves and free, how are we going to subdue them further? How are we going to further enact control over society? And a big strategy of that, like to keep a large population of white people poor, was, look how bad it is for Black people. At least you're not one of them, right? You should accept the lot that you've been given in life, even though it is unfair and you're still poor. At least you're not Black. And that was effective for them. That inspired a lot of propaganda. Like I'll show an example here that I had on.
But just first, just to
Instagram.
acknowledge Sherry, but how about the most popular white supremacist, Nick
Fuentes.
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 He didn't even change your name to
Spanish
Smith.
name. Yeah.
Okay, I have Smiths in my family.
I mean,
I'm so
Fuentes is just a disgrace. He's a disgrace of a human being. Like, this is one kind of propaganda I actually really don't understand. And I think it was something like that was sort of on the docket. We were talking about in the pregame show, like the incel propaganda stuff, like how Nick Fuentes is such this like prominent Nazi, because as far as like the strong male archetype that they typically go for is concerned, he's not it.
They never are though.
He's a dainty, very flamboyant, God, which there's nothing wrong with having effeminate body language and stuff like that. I do quite commonly myself. There's nothing wrong with that. But to be standing there projecting, selling yourself as this
selling
certain
manhood
image,
in the most stereotypical.
and like being like in that whole incel culture that sort of is around Fuentes as well. Like it's a very straight. Like I don't completely understand it, to be honest with you. Like I don't understand how people who are on the inside of that kind of square the circle.
Like I understand the appeal specifically of
by the way,
Fuentes
Tepno, I do assume Nick Fuentes is closeted. I absolutely assume that.
Wasn't he the one that got with Destiny?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh yeah, there was a video. Okay, that's right-wing content creators.
I believe you have no idea.
Yeah, it is hard to parse. Like I think that's part of like why they're propagandized and how they've been propagandized is it's probably even difficult for them to parse themselves. Right? Like they just know in a way like, what makes them feel good or relevant in the moment, and they don't really unpack it further than that. Like hating women is a greater priority than, other things.
I can understand the appeal for Shapiro himself and Fuentes himself to sell this persona. I can understand for them the appeal because it makes them money. I can't understand the appeal for people to buy
it. That is the weird thing, right?
I think the problem, a lot of it is they're like, especially for Fuentes, like his audience is children. It's teen boys who the girl that they liked didn't like them, or whatever it was,
spited by it,
and they find a guy saying all the things, and that it's not your fault, it's their fault, it's this person's fault, society's fault, it's not yours, you're fine.
And like that ties into I think the example I'm about to show you, because talking about old-timey propaganda, and the one thing I want to emphasize to people who is watching who maybe aren't up on, like, maybe you have a loose idea of what communism is, maybe you have a propagandized idea of what communism is.
Briefly, before you share that, just one quick thing. It would be one thing if the Fuentes and the Shapiros were selling kids that it's women's fault, you're fine, but they're not. They're saying that like it's women's fault, but also you suck in your shit and nothing.
There is a lot of self-degradation.
In culture, they give you ways to get better. That's how smashing is starting to become a thing, which used to be an Onion article in the early 2000s. They made fun of little girls for wanting to look like Bratz dolls, and they're like, "Oh, she hit herself with a hammer." Now men are doing that. IRL. For a jaw line.
What is it? There's a weird certain type of like masculinity in that, but I think it ties back to hating women is a big part of that, because a lot of what these incel men are doing are for each other. It's a performative thing to impress each other, and there's a weird kind of homoeroticism tied into it and things like that.
That's why it takes two of us to equal one man.
So like, this kind of ties to incel culture, feeling less relevant, feeling like you have less privilege in a society, and also like, and again, to kind of give the foray into this, for those of you who may not be familiar with what communism actually is, or you have this loose idea of what it is based on what your parents have said, what your family members have said, what you may have heard on television before, things like that. I hope your pattern recognition can be maybe a little enlightened here, because anti-communist propaganda has historically and all the way up to the present day always been fascist. And I'm not saying that as a biased thing, like, oh, if you don't like what I like, you must be a fascist. No, that it's not as simple as that. There's a reason why anti-communist propaganda always points to fascism, and this is one of a good historical example of that. Help fight communism and integration. Join the KKK. Right? Integration, of course, what they're talking about is integrating Black people into society as equals. And they saw communism and anti-racism as ultimately the same threat, because in a large sense they are correct. Like the communist philosophy and reading and things like that would have you thinking in a very anti-racist and egalitarian way. And racism is a tool of consolidating capitalism towards fascist ends.
Yeah.
And since communism in its ideals or in its material analysis and philosophy, these KKK guys are stupid in a number of ways, but not the kind of stupid that doesn't have them making those connections. They know the connection. That's why they're writing this. Ask yourself, why would the richest people in the world be so invested in making you think a society organized around equity for workers is the worst thing that could possibly happen?
And it hasn't
changed. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And this hasn't changed. Like, you may not see propaganda like this put so overtly and so obvious.
Okay.
But
honestly,
there.
I think we're at the point where 2027, we're probably going to see literally fucking that again.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we are heading
US
towards this level of obviousness.
Well, I'm just saying
with poverty draft, they're like, hey.
I'm just saying that with that specific wording, I predict if it doesn't happen in 2026, it'll happen in 2027.
Join the ICE.
Here we go. Using the outdated word there. Black people beware. Do not attend communist meetings. I can't quite see what the word hidden. Organizers for the communists are only trying to get black people in trouble. Alabama is a good place for good black people. Emphasis on good black people. Again, if you're familiar with this type of propaganda, I heard it all the way into my adult life coming from white racists. Oh, I'm not racist. There's good black people. You just got to be worried about those bad black people, right?
I mean, we saw that in the media with Hurricane Katrina, where it was like black people were looting, but white
black
people
people
were
getting
surviving.
Supplies was looting, but white people doing the same thing was surviving.
I'm sure there's newer examples.
Oh, probably.
That's this isn't a problem that's been solved.
Yeah, so report all the communists, tell the communists to leave. Because, really what the communists wanted was the emancipation of black people, recognizing them as equals in their fight against capital. And they realized we are part of the same underclass, guys. We have the same goals. And the KKK is stepping in and going, oh, no. Can't have that. We got to get the black people scared of communists.
Well,
too.
I mean, that's why after they killed MLK, that they emphasized his
colorism is definitely a thing there.
Absolutely. That's why they emphasized his speech about getting along as opposed to his ideas around capitalism.
Yeah,
communism, America's mortal enemy. Their mortal enemy isn't fascism. No. And look where anti-communist propaganda tends to lead. First act of Nazi Germany, who were the first people they targeted? Who were the first people they rounded up? It was the communists.
There's a whole poem about it, guys.
Yeah. First they came for the socialists. First they came for the socialists is the first line in that poem. And again, the propaganda around, the Nazis were called the Socialist Workers' Party, so they were socialists.
Oh my God!
Why did they hate the socialists so much? Why were they the first people that were targeted? Sometimes they use stuff that's just a name to swindle people, because even though Germany on paper and Canada on paper to this day had a 99% literacy rate, that doesn't necessarily mean the literacy was super good.
For example, Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty obvious. And this is what Make America Great Again is in hearkening back to This is the greatness they want to get back to,
Mm.
tying communism to the emancipation of minority groups and
Yeah.
and equality and things like that. They see it as all the same enemy, and again, they're not completely wrong to do that, and that's why
together we're more powerful.
they're not completely wrong to do that in the sense of what their goals are. I think their goals are wrong, obviously, in case that wasn't super explicit.
Right.
But it is their analysis of what the situation isn't completely wrong, and that's why you, my fellow working class people, whether you be like a white or presently vote conservative or whatever the case may be, you should recognize that that's what the game is, and that communism is not your enemy. It is after your emancipation. They just want you to believe that it is your enemy.
And like fascists co-opt leftist viewpoints all the time. Like whether it's a name like socialist or whether and this is why Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are coming out as anti-Israel. It's like, that they're not right. Like they're right in that sense, but they're like, just because they're co-opting one point of view just to match theirs, that doesn't mean like vote for them for anything.
Yeah.
I would say that RFK wants to take us back to like 1700 BC. Get rid of the Actually, I was gonna say get rid of the wheel, but I'm like, wait a minute.
Sorry, Jessica, totally what were you just saying? What were you just saying there a second ago? I wanted to address.
I was talking about how right wing and fascist, commentators, whatever movements co-opt leftist viewpoints all the time.
Yeah, and an example of that was what we were talking about earlier. Is the Israeli government essentially being a fascist apartheid government against the Palestinians. And like you said, they present themselves as progressive because it's like, oh, our snipers are women. Look how forward thinking and progressive we are. Right. And that is, that's definitely a form of propaganda. That is a way of subduing that narrative.
And even look at stuff that you will probably see quite commonly online of anti-vaxxers saying "my body, my choice."
Oh God, yeah.
Look, if I'm in the grocery store, I can't get pregnant by a pregnant person behind me. Right?
Yeah, you can't.
But I can get measles from them.
And a lot of it comes down to, and I think like the propaganda of anti-communism, the propaganda of capitalism, and how it heads towards fascism is the emphasis on the individual. When you have this push towards individual rights, personal freedoms, that sounds nice, but what that is really doing is trying to alienate you from your fellow man.
This is why people become anti-union.
Yeah, exactly. When it becomes about me, and not us, it divide and conquer, classic strategy.
Don't talk about your salaries, guys. Don't do that.
Yeah, they want you to be divided, because if you have to go in there one by one to negotiate your salary with your boss, it's a lot harder to get a good raise than when, say, it's 100 employees banded together making that argument, right? That's individualism is a negative propaganda in that sense. Like nobody wants to take away your personal freedoms in a lot of ways, but we want you to emphasize like that we're in this together. We are a society. We are social animals, and we do better under cooperation rather than coercion and being left on our own.
Yeah. Well, it's like the people who are like, I have my freedoms, to discuss nothing about your responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
Because you do have a social responsibility. Yeah. Like you're responsible to, I don't know, not drive 260 kilometers an hour in a school zone, because it might be you and your car, but you're gonna run over children.
I can drive drunk if I want to.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I'm not gonna wear a seatbelt. Yeah, but when you drive 260 kilemeters through that school zone and hit a bump, then you become a projectile that becomes other people's problem.
Okay, I love watching like when they legalize seatbelts. I don't know what the term is.
I
know.
Yeah.
And like if people are like, I should be allowed to choose. I don't know. You're all Southern when I talk like this, but that's that's what they sound like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember, like, and this is where I was sort of realizing that a lot of my friends weren't that I was with at the time weren't as forward thinking as I maybe thought they were. Because I remember having this conversation, and it's like, and I sort of was talking to him about what I coined at the time as hyper individualism, like
Yeah.
where you know, I was saying something to him like, yeah, I fear this sense of hyper individualism is making us not realize that, you know, we depend on each other. We are
Yeah.
codependent
Yeah.
as a society. Like, I need to do this job and fulfill my duty so you can do your job and fulfill your duty. There's mutual benefit
Yeah.
in the labor that we perform. It's not about just you and your own paycheck. There's a greater thing at stake here. And yeah, I remember they sort of snickered at me saying that. And that was a bit alienating at the time, I gotta tell you.
Well, propaganda around that very thing right now is boundaries. We gotta have boundaries.
Yeah.
It's like, to a point.
And again,
like,
I'm protecting
setting
my
boundaries
peace.
is very much a progressive idea that came out of, like, you know,
Let
the
them.
mental health movements and therapy movements, where it's where, like, saying it's okay to say no, it's okay to stand up for yourself, and it's easy to take that and smudge the line so much.
Yeah, which is why it becomes like so many leftist spaces become so toxic, because you get these narcissists who are just like, I have all the therapy speak in my pocket, and I know how to weaponize it.
Yeah. Who could forget? A lot of people aren't familiar with this term, but being on the inside of, like, a lot of the gay community and stuff like that, the tender queers.
Oh
You
yeah,
never heard of the
those
tender
fucking
queers?
tender queers. I tell y'all by
yeah,
and like,
yeah.
look, as a queer myself, I can say these fucking people. I fucking tell you, guy, right? Because
Okay,
it's not
and
the
if you're
fact
not
that
familiar with the term tenderqueer, is this idea of, like, you know, the really progressive person abusing progressive and therapeutic and psychological language in order to just get their own selfish way.
and to just shut
Like,
down
you
any
know,
conversation.
actually, saying it's my turn to do the dishes is really, it's very triggering to me. You know, like, things like that. Yeah.
Or like in, for example, community spaces, someone being like, look, I have these identities, and therefore you're literally not allowed to
the problem
have
with
any
identity
negative
politics.
Yeah, you're literally not allowed to have any negative opinions about what I've just said.
Yeah.
I am gonna, like, bully you to the ends of the earth, and if you say anything negative about me,
following you.
I remember,
I
like,
didn't just start moving.
I remember, like, years ago, and like, talking about people I went to
We're on
school
the
with,
move,
so
folks.
they're the same age as me. We all went to the same school, so, and grew up in the same area. So you'd think our experiences would be pretty similar. But I remember, I was talking to you know, a lady from that I used to go to school with, and I was disagreeing with her politically about something, and then her husband, who we all went to school with as well, jumped in and was like, well, you know, since you're arguing for the feminist perspective, don't you just have to agree and listen to what she says? She's a woman.
shut up.
And it was just like,
Does that mean
oh
I need to
man,
listen
you
to
really
Cheryl
don't
Gallant's
get
one?
how
No.
this works. You really think, like, he seemed to have this idea that feminism, feminine, woman is superior. That's what that means.
And look,
it's
like,
just like,
that,
oh my God.
like, look, that's 101. I understand. Oh my God. I'm sorry, I used my hand.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Yeah, you got
Oh my
to
God.
stop talking with your hands. Hey.
What's up, man? What's up,
He didn't do this whole time. God,
Okay.
find my hand.
Anyways, I'm still here, so I'll keep talking. But yeah, like, it's like 101 of, I understand when you're just starting to figure stuff out, that's the tack that you take of, like, oh, feminist, that means you need to agree with the woman, right? But you know, once you're in a queer
listen
relationship,
to black
then
people and listen to women. Yes, these are very good pieces of progressive advice.
I mean,
but they're not
they're
universal hard truths, because you know,
it's like, look, don't dismiss someone because
don't automatically dismiss. Yes,
Yeah,
be
right?
open to it.
Because,
be more
like,
open to it than you have been historically, perhaps. You know,
and so, like, understand that your bias may say that, like, oh, this person's experience differs from mine, and therefore I'm going to reject it outright. Like,
Yeah.
be cognizant of these biases and
Yeah.
how
Like,
propaganda has trained us.
listen
And
to
I'm
black
trying not to
people
use my
doesn't-
hands, so I'm going to move my hand on
Yeah.
away.
I don't know why it
Yeah.
suddenly started
You know, like,
targeting them.
saying listen to women and listen to black people doesn't necessarily mean you have to listen to Candace Owens.
Yeah,
right?
you don't have to listen to
You don't have to
every
listen to
single one,
Thomas
okay?
Sewell. You don't have to listen to people who are wrong about. And like that's the thing about propaganda, though, and I guess this is how we'll cap off the show. Is there's different kinds of propaganda, and I'm not talking about race when I say this, but there is white propaganda and black propaganda. For example, white propaganda is pretty much say reporting the news. And say if you're like a liberal media outlet, sure, you maybe want to cast the conservatives in a darker light and yourself in a lighter light, but you are using information that is sourceable, good, relevant, and truthful. That is, and you are sourcing it and saying, hey, this is exactly where I got this information from, and this is why it's good. And that is a form of what is called white propaganda. Now, a form of black propaganda would be like, this, what is it?
I see you scrolling to look for your thing.
Yeah. Like this stuff that we were showing before. This is black propaganda. This is just.
I would even say the terms white propaganda, black propaganda are propaganda.
They could be propaganda in themselves. Well, like
it's
I kind of tie it to, and I think this is why we have these terms about hackers, because you have white hat, black hat hackers, right? The white hat hackers are, hacking for the good of humanity, while black hat hackers are doing it for crime. And financial gain and things like that. So I think that's where that came from. But yeah, you're right. There's the positive negative connotation.
No, you're correct. There is no racism in the hacker community.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Their decisions are.
Well, I think that's maybe why they started
valued,
calling it hat. Maybe to like it's white hat, not skin. Just so we're clear.
It makes me
maybe
think
that's
of
where.
like Spy versus Spy.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. But no, it's just like in our culture, it's difficult to have any. I'm gonna move my hand so it doesn't follow me. In our cultures, it's challenging to have conversations about like these broad terms because what was it about the FBI handbook about infiltrating leftist movements and bogging them down with language?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is actually, and I see it all the time. And honestly, some people
like a thing on that. Steve Bannon.
Well, Steve Bannon has he's had a lot of
about putting a lot of information
that.
out there.
But part of it is part of it is also and specifically in leftist spaces in order to disrupt organizing, exhaust people by making them explain everything.
Yes, this is in the CIA handbook, which is so funny because I see so-called, I'm the most communist, and I'm going to argue against you, and they do this thing right out of the CIA handbook where it's like, bog them down with constant purity testing, constant questioning of motives, just like constant stuff like that. Going, well, I don't know if this is the correct terminology, clogging up their ability to progress and build a movement.
So it's like
being perfect.
I'm trying to stop from using my hands. Absolutely, you should be deconstructing that, but consider whose time you're using. Like a lot of this stuff can be done on your own time, and asking people to go like take an aside to like work through the stuff. Don't hijack.
We're here. We're here every week to help you work for it. So bother us.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right? Because like there is time and a space to try to work out these nuances of, using these terms like white hat, black hat, white propaganda, black propaganda, yada, yada, yada. If you want to do that in a space like this, then cool. Don't go to like an organizational meeting.
Yeah.
Don't.
So that's basically our kind of foray into the idea of deconstructing propaganda and things you see. And maybe next episode we'll touch on this a little bit more, but like I said, I want to try and get for anybody watching or anybody who may be watching later, or I've talked to already about this. Yeah, I'm trying to get a solid panel of like maybe 4 or 5 people that we can get engaged to not be afraid to ask questions like, yeah, I'm not sure what communism is. I hear bad things about it. My dad hates it. You know, like things like that. And you don't necessarily need to be identified. We won't name you on the air. You don't have to be seen on camera. We just sort of maybe want you here on audio so you can talk and things like that. Because again, this is, I want this to be an emphasis on taking the fog out of this, you know what I mean? Like,
some people are just scared to come forward and ask questions.
Exactly.
It's fair.
Exactly.
Like people on the internet can be mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be mean on the internet. Like if you're there, like texting like a strong arm opinion of like communists are fundamentally dumb and wrong.
Do that in your YouTube comments.
I might chirp you a little bit. I might have something to say about that, you know? But if you're coming into this space and saying, I'm not sure, I'm open. Then
or like even if you want to debate it and be like, I think
if you want to debate it, I'm down for that. If you're scared of the debate, because I've had a couple of people I've tried to approach about this subject where they're like, I'm not really into, I don't want the debate thing, because then people ask questions like, oh, so you thought the famine of 18 such and such was a good thing, and they're like, I don't know. Like, I don't want people to feel like that. Because
we're not academics. We don't have PhDs. We don't know a lot of shit either. So like, let's work it out. Whatever.
Yes, I am also usually mean on the internet. Well, like I'm mean when people are coming out with the strong, ignorant opinion. If they're coming out with like going, hey, I don't know much about this. This is just what I've heard, and they say something ignorant, that's different than
that leads
saying the ignorant thing, but with like your full chest and confidence, right? Two different things.
Like one is like looking for information. The other one's is shutting down conversation.
And trying to bully and that sort of thing. So this has been a wonderful time. Thank you everybody for joining us live. We love you. We hope you're back next week. We want you to be part of the conversation. If you wanted to have like a Q&A thing, Nat's being very distracting to me trying to talk right now.
I'm just trying to see if the camera will move when I want it. Hey!
Like, subscribe, join us next week for the show. We'll be back here at 8 p.m. And if you have questions about what we talked about today, shoot me a message, send us an email. Leave a comment if you're not watching live, and we'll address your comment next week. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay rough.
It's on you. I love you.